The following was recorded at Open Stage Media's podcast studio in Schenectady, New York.
Welcome back to the Holmes Podcast, episode 28. Today we have a special guest. He's a familiar face. He actually started this whole thing. Maurice Brown. And aside me, as always, David Kellogg.
That's right.
I think I'm quitting real estate after today.
This is it. This is the new gig.
Nah, April Fools.
It's April 1st.
You forgot. It's April. Come on.
Yeah. I got 3 kids. It's always April
my
Fools.
goodness.
I got a text about a discount code for like getting coffee for free today. So I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And it was like, this is not a joke. This is the code for the promo. I was like, oh,
Wait.
like, I'm definitely gonna do that. I don't even buy coffee usually, but
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I could use some more caffeine and sugar.
That would suck if you go to like Dunkin' Donuts or wherever and then try to redeem it and it doesn't redeem.
well, it said it's not a joke. So it works in the apps.
That would be sick.
Yeah, but they're double downing on the joke.
On the joke part. Yeah.
This is not a
that
joke.
would suck.
That's
Like,
what I'm
if I
saying.
actually showed up.
Yeah, and with like $1.75 in quarters, and it's like it's $4 for the coffee or
Yeah.
$6 for the latte. And it's like no, it's just $6. It
No.
doesn't exist.
Yeah, my heart would be broken. I'm not gonna lie. I like my discounts. I can't hold it. So what's been going on with you guys in real estate in your careers lately?
Okay.
I want to hear more about Jerry's new purchase from late last year.
Late last year.
I want to hear how it's going. Like,
Good.
You're fully tenanted and everything.
Yeah. So I was able. So what David and Maurice, or what David is referring to, is my purchase in September was of a 2-family in Albany. It was actually a home that I was renting for 6 years, and then my landlord, but my actually landlord turned into a past client, turned into friend, family, everything. He ended up wanting to sell, so he said, "Hey, you either sell it or you buy it." I bought it, and since then it's been going. Knock on wood, been going really well.
That's great.
Wait, is this what it's?
No, there's literally
is
no
this
wood
for
in
Micah?
here.
I don't-
It's the
Yeah.
what you're gonna get right.
Yeah, right here. But since then it's been going well. I mean, I inherited the tenants downstairs. They were actually close. They're actually close friends of mine. So they've been doing well. I've actually updated my apartment, so was able to renovate the kitchens, baths, do kind of a refresh because 6 years of seeing the same type of cabinets and appliances was kind of old. So
Okay. Just making it a little new.
yeah,
A little fresher. and everything.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Celebrate the new purchase.
it was it's been going well and continues to do so. So
That's cool. I'm excited for you.
thank you.
So the tenants were the tenants you inherited were there long term as well.
Yes, they were there as long as we were, almost 6 years as well.
So let's talk about a lease strategy. If someone's there 30 years
Mhm.
and you don't raise the rent and you go to sell, what's going to happen to those tenants?
If you choose to say that again.
So because this happened a couple times, and it
Yeah.
happens all the time. Because a landlord says, "Look, I've got great tenants. I don't want to ruin their life. I'm going to keep the rent the same."
Yeah.
And great, first year, second year, third year, whatever. You're very close to top market rent, anyways, probably, right? Especially if you just done a renovation, you go to the very top of the game, maybe even a couple pennies above, and you hope.
Mm-hmm.
Tenant's been there now 30 years. Wouldn't that be phenomenal if you had a great 30-year tenant, always on time, always respectful, always nice, didn't beat the house up? We'd love it.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2055, your rent is still at 2025 levels. Because as a favor, you never raise the rent. Now you go to sell it. You see all your neighbors' houses sell at, let's joke, let's say $1 million now. 30 years, 4 times the value.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying $1,500 for a 3-bedroom. Well, the going rate is now $6,000. If we were to times by 4, okay.
Yeah.
I go to buy the house. You think I'm keeping tenants at $1,500 a piece?
Not really, but
So do you plan to have any kind of automatic rent riser in a lease? Or say, guys, I give you like first 3 years, cool. I now need to start going up with market. I won't ever beat market. You need something renovated or whatever, just let me know. Because you want to earn the higher rent. You don't want to just be, hey, you updated your kitchen, you updated your bath, you may have painted, which tenants deserve, right? I mean, you don't want to give them new market rent price is, but a 30-year-old kitchen.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
there's rights and responsibilities for both sides here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't raise your rent in 30 years, the next person that buys that, they can't use a mortgage because it won't cash flow appropriately for the value of the property for the rent. So it's going to be a cash buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Cash buyer is going to say, hey, I'm not allowed to legally raise your rent in one day. Get out.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. We've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've had stuff that 3s and 4s with FHA's got to pass the acid test. If it's not self-sufficient, no loan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. It also comes into, at some point, just I can't buy a dead or underperforming asset unless I buy it knowing I'm going to kick everyone out. So for you, you have a tenant. They've been there years, right?
Yeah.
You were there 6 years.
Yeah.
They've been there a couple years at least.
Almost 5 years.
When do you think you plan on raising rent or putting an auto rider in there? Hey, we're going to go up 3%, rounding down to the nearest $5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's a great question. Actually, I reached out to them because, sometimes it's within 3 months prior to the lease's ending. So their lease expires in May. I reached out last month and, wanted to see where they stood. If they want to stay, great. If they didn't, then I'll be looking for, new tenants. And they decided not to want to stay.
they decide to vacate.
So I've been showing it with the prefacing in my listing description that I'm going to be updating cabinets, kitchens, things of that nature. So I'm asking for higher rents, but it's going to be deserving of it because it's going to be renovated.
That brings up a good question, though, because, like, to your point before, if that weren't the situation, like, you can almost discount to someone's detriment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, because I'm not even looking at it just from, the asset itself as the owner of the property, but from the tenant's perspective, right? If I'm used to paying a certain amount of money for my home, I'm not necessarily, the average person isn't readjusting their budget to make sure that extra is being set aside. That's not always happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you essentially have to, unless you're going to send your tenants to some type of financial literacy course, as like a condition on this, right? Which would actually be a kind of cool idea. But once that 20, 30 years comes up, now you have an elderly person who's living in that unit, who's been in the same home for 30 years. And when the new owner comes in and if their rate is either raised or if they now have to find somewhere else, they may not be appropriately budgeted for anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come as a shock. And they're going to get 3 months and a day to go look for something, or maybe you're best friends with them and say, hey, can you, in the sale, can you make sure you give them 6 months as part of the sale or something like that? But 30-year shock difference in price in 6 months is still a life-altering number.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason I brought it up, is because you if you don't, to Maurice's point, you don't budget, you don't change. Maybe you didn't ask for a raise the last 10 years because your rent hasn't moved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what if one domino leads to the next, and you ask for 2 raises, now you're CEO of a company? I mean, it could happen. Probably won't, but if you're not budgeting for it, if you're not prepared for it, the next investor that buys that house is like, I want more than 25 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do the work to get there. Right. You updated your unit. You're
Yep.
offering to update the other unit before someone moves in. If you're going to do the same stuff, you might want to show them your unit too. Be like, hey, this was the same. This is what it's going to look like. Just to give them that
That's
visual.
a good, yeah.
Because people aren't great with visual guessing, with seeing a potentiality.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So be like, hey, I did the work. This is what it looks like. That's what yours is going to look like. Or similar.
Similar.
Yeah.
Something of that caliber.
That's cool, though. But you might want to think about it, because wouldn't it be great if in 30 years we come back here as a podcast reunion, episode 2020 or something, and we're like, hey, how'd that rider go? We're like, great, it's 5%, and there's a up to 2% adjustment for inflation.
Is that what you usually would recommend? Because you also do property management, right?
So I have previously worked for a property manager, and actually I was just contacted by Jason George, who came in here twice and asked me to help him lease some units around here. I said, I don't mind doing it in Schenectady, or like real local. But the reason I said yes is because I want to build a future homeowner newsletter, because you can't tell someone they're going to rent forever.
Yeah.
The American dream often, not always, is I want to be a homeowner. Not everybody wants a responsibility, and some people want to be more mobile. My sister and brother-in-law, they moved everywhere, and they ended up in Guatemala. great B&B if anyone needs one, by the way. And so not everyone wants to be tied down by a house, but most people do. So why not say, hey, look, we did a podcast, and maybe everyone in the world watches it, maybe not everyone watches it. Here is some educational literacy. Download one of these 3 apps to monitor your credit. Work on that, because that'll make a lifetime impact.
Mm-hmm.
If 2 points on 2 points on a mortgage is a big difference.
Absolutely.
So, I said, well, maybe I can do that, and then I get to maybe open the door for other investors. You have an investor that likes brand new 3 to 4 family homes in this neighborhood. Boom, someone comes up. Hey, that's Jim John's favorite thing. So, I'm gonna say yes, but it's not because of the job. It's because of potential growth.
Opportunity. Right?
Yeah. So yes and no. Currently no. By tomorrow maybe.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would put something in there, because if you know about it, it's not so scary. The speed limit changed in Schenectady. They gave you a week or 2 or whatever.
Well, more like a year.
Oh, well,
So.
I started watching on Open Stage Media, and I'm commenting on the video. So if you watched last night's at like minute 12 and minute 13, I'm like, hey, this is a great conversation. I was the only one to do it, I think. But
Wait, what were you commenting on?
so
Console media?
It's on live on YouTube. And I started commenting.
That's hilarious.
So, hey,
Oh, yeah, our
Corp,
city council's broadcast live.
Yeah.
So
I've seen that.
every once in a while, like if it's a really hot issue or thing that's going on, like you'll see a few people commenting every once in a while.
Yeah, that's David.
yeah,
most
meet me in the
people-
comments, guys.
Yeah.
Meet me in the next live comments on Open Stage Media. We'll chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like most people just lurk, but
Yeah.
no, but it's an important thing, and it's an important thing for anybody who lives here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even the people who work here, if you're passing through here, that's an important thing. The same with Albany or any other community when those kind of major changes are happening. Unfortunately, I do think that most people don't pay attention to what's being announced when it's being announced. So for you felt like, oh, this is
I didn't know it happened a year ago. I literally thought it was a week. This is actually news to
so
me.
like a year ago, they've been talking about this constantly because
Yeah.
actually it's a requirement. So the requirement is that they have to have public hearings. It's like all of these extra steps. So like that process started more than a year ago.
The slower traffic goes, the better trolleys are. Just throwing that out there for anyone who's new to the show.
Yeah.
Listen, if you've got a couple of billion to invest in it,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can make a good proposal.
Exactly. We're starting with your pockets.
I got a couple quarters. I'll start this thing right now.
So to our viewers,
I fed the meter with nickels and dimes because it doesn't take. I didn't have any dollar coins,
Yeah.
so I just fed it with nickels and dimes.
Why didn't you just use the app?
I have too many apps, Maurice. Everywhere.
me
is-
too.
You brought up a donut shop. Do you want to buy this in the app and get 0.4% back? Like, no. Did you pre-order your Golden Arches breakfast sandwich? No. Did you go to the King and get the pay for hat and get
So
your
that
lunch?
tells me
pre-made?
your phone is probably has like your apps in random places all over.
It does. Oh my God, it's
You
the
don't
worst.
you don't group your apps
I am-
like
Oh, you have to.
yeah, like I've got my the things for like where I want to order stuff, like food.
Your
They're all in the
finances.
same area. All my banking apps are on one spot.
Not
Like,
that
you
my
don't
wife watches this, but she would tell you that I'm telling you the truth. I'm horrible with certain things, and that kind of stuff I'm terrible with.
Really?
There's like 6 pages, and they're not all full. I just run to the end. It's the bottom one that's my showing time. And if I need a calculator, it's up one screen. It's on there.
Oh, my
I'm terrible. I'm terrible, but I've got great muscle memory.
Okay.
Okay, well, I guess that
that
helps
works.
out,
Yeah.
But you're like almost intimidated by getting a new app.
I just don't want more. I just don't want more.
Yeah, I guess I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I can understand it. Let me not say I get it.
Yeah.
I can understand.
We can
it.
understand.
Yeah.
Well, there's coffee places you need to speak 2 languages to order a coffee, and you need to know what sizes are or whatever. And then there's reward programs for everything. And I just go places and I give them my wife's phone number, and you know what? She's got some sort of card that gives something.
Discount.
I'm like, so what do I get for free today? And like, oh, nothing. I'm like, okay, cool.
I'll be back
I'm
tomorrow.
I'm glad we signed up for this 3 times on Sunday.
You got to spend the money though.
You do.
I'm good at spending money. I'm really good
Really?
at spending money.
Okay.
All right.
And
Let's start with the trolleys.
well, Billions with a B, looking for a sponsor. If anyone wants on a trolley company. New Schenectady Trolley Co.
But I'm actually glad you mentioned about the speed limit because it's a good transition into one of our community meetings that's coming up, right? So you guys are aware about the comprehensive plan?
Yeah.
Yes and no.
We
Dive
we
into
had we
it.
spoke about it. I took 2 of my kids to it. on the first meeting here in Proctor's, actually.
Oh, yes. So we've been having a lot of different neighborhood meetings that have been occurring. So they're separate from like the neighborhood association stuff, because the really important thing is for the community to understand that everybody is welcome. And for some reason, a lot of people think neighborhood association meetings are for like some exclusive group, which isn't the case. But so like they're actually hosting it. Actually, I think you have the flyer over there, David.
I do, and we will make sure this goes somewhere and not just my hands. Where's the camera for this one? Hello. Yeah, I'm gonna let you read it though.
Oh, okay.
I'm gun shy today.
So we've already had Mount Pleasant's meeting. We had a meeting in the Hamilton Hill as well. And the community came out, and you have some people who come from all different areas of Schenectady because, you know, sometimes your schedule doesn't allow you to go to your community's specific meeting, but everyone's allowed to go. But on April 15th from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. at 100 Bigelow Avenue in Schenectady, they'll have the Woodlawn neighborhood meeting, which is important too. And like during that meeting, you know, they're talking about what the comprehensive plan is, but they're also there really for the feedback from the community about what are the great assets of your neighborhood and what are some of the things that you want to see change in the future too. Because this is talking about the overall plan for Schenectady for the next few years. Right? So it will be used as guidance for multiple nonprofits, the city itself, and the other governmental entities in order to apply for grants, when they're seeking out funding, when they're trying to do new projects. They all reference the previous plan when they're doing those things.
So my 8-year-old at the time said that one of her favorite things, because we got here a couple minutes early, we walked up and down the street. Her favorite thing was the tall buildings. We live in Niskuna, and everything's a 1 to 2 story house. And out here, she's looking at Proctor's or the Sorilla building, not related to the attorney we had on here, or Mexican Radio on the end of the street.
Yeah.
I mean, we have really cool big buildings, and my daughter loved it. She's like, I like the big buildings. You know, I bet if she got to draw, she'd be like, why not stop it? Why stop it too? Let's go. Let's have a couple more 6'8", you know, why not?
Yeah. Like one of our previous directors, Kristen Diat, you know, she is like has an architecture background, and she used to love the buildings. So like I think she was involved in another one that they rehabbed up the street. I want to say it's the Nest building, which I guess was like an old train station.
I think it says train station or railway or something on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, so like we have that. We have a lot of older buildings. We have one of the oldest, if not the oldest, historic district in the state, which is the Stockade.
Stockade, yeah.
So like we have a lot of good architecture, a lot of good interesting things, but it's about, you know, a lot of people want to preserve the history. But you also have to take into consideration, okay, what are the needs of our community going forward as well? And how do we repurpose some of those older things? That's why we have those organizations like the Land Bank and Metroplex, just trying to bring more life and just keep going with the momentum that's already been happening. And I know like the mayor's trying to make sure as many things are happening within the neighborhoods and that we're always including the neighborhoods in these new conversations. You know, because like most cities, you start with your downtown when you're revitalizing, because that's your excuse for people to come here, right? And to get the extra revenue. And then you bridge out into your neighborhoods because you want the quality of life to increase at the same time.
The thing I heard, and it was, so when they did a recap, we broke out in these work groups and we did a recap on it. Everybody talked about the biggest issue that they liked, but they wanted to work on the most was walkability. And my biggest thing on walkability is holding landowners accountable for keeping the sidewalks clean, because it's not walkable for 6 months a year if you can't walk on the sidewalks. Lighting, right? And a place to walk to, which goes back to my desire when we had Nora Wallace here. We talked about I wanted to do more mixed use in the city, right? If there's nowhere to walk, what are you going to do? Just walk around? I mean, I'm sure some
Take a trip to the Hudson River.
I'm sure some people would say, let's do that. But if I had an end goal in mind, do you think I get my kids out the door easier? Hey, kids, let's walk down to, let's say, the only place that I can walk to in my area is the Broken Inn and get an ice cream. Great. You know, it's like a 12 or 15 minute walk. You know, it's a goal. It's not like 3 to 5 minutes, but it's something to do. There's a reward process in it. And we come back. You know, if there was a place where, you know, there was a local fruit market, you know, Jimmy's Fruit Market, you know, whatever, you know, there'd be something to do. You know, there's a task, there's a goal, there's a reward for getting out and walking to it. So I would love, it's
true.
I hope when everyone goes to this meeting in exactly 2 weeks, probably a week from when we go live on this, I hope that walkability and adding a little more mixed use is part of the program.
Yeah. When I went to Europe, what I loved there is that they had the scooters that
Yeah.
you can easily just scan the code and just travel from place to place to place. And that, I wish I would be able to see that in the capital region, let alone Schenectady. But that would be awesome, just to hop on a scooter, go downtown, go
The electric scooters.
the electric scooters,
Yeah,
go
but-
to Scotia, go to
In the summer
jumping
months.
jacks, you know?
You'll see the electric scooters come out in the summer months.
Oh, look.
And the bikes are also out
Wow.
in the summer months.
So I spoke
Bikes
into
are out now.
existence.
Bikes are out now.
Oh, they're out
Yeah,
already?
I saw a bike, green and pink or something.
That was mine.
You did good then.
No,
I think it's either MVP or like
I thought it was CDTA.
CDHP.
Yeah, something like that.
And CDTA is the one I think that's like responsible for the electric scooters as well.
okay.
But yeah, no. So they have those things like during our warmer months. They'll come out.
I love that.
And to thank our sponsor, Jerry Lugo's Electric Scooter Emporium, now found where? Buy, sell, trade.
It's a business idea.
It's a great
is.
one,
No,
dude.
it
I
is.
mean, it's mobility. What if the difference was someone can get outside when they wouldn't because, they had mobility issues? Maybe it's just for fun. Maybe it's to go fast. But it could also be the crutch to help someone get outside and get a little sun and say, I want to do this more.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the reason someone walked up and down 3 flights of stairs and bought an orange at your local fruit dealer.
Yeah.
It
That's
could be.
true.
It could be.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. That's like what the goal is of these meetings, is to get that feedback. And yes, there's going to be like multiple levels of feedback you can get. Like there's the online survey. So even if you went straight to their website, electricityrecharge.com, you can immediately take the survey right from there. You can be notified of any of the community meetings that are upcoming there. You can see recaps of all the old meetings that have already occurred. But the biggest thing is that what you want to see as an individual, and for you and your family, that you're actually mentioning those things.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, like in the survey, there's a question where they talk about, do you feel like it's easy for you to essentially travel without a vehicle? But they mention all the different mobility ways that people travel. So it's not just saying, oh, do you walk or you take a car? No, do you use your strollers? Do you have mobility assisted vehicles like a what do you call it? Wheelchair. I don't know why. I couldn't think of
I thought you were going to say a hover round.
Yeah,
That's the name
yeah.
brand. You don't want to talk about name brand.
it. But even for those things, so whether
Yeah.
you're biking, you're walking, you're using a scooter, if you're rollerblading or whatever it is,
Yeah.
is that those modes of transportation need to be able to get you from point A to point B. And what does that mean? That means that you're going to have to go by sidewalks and streets. Maybe there's not a bike lane in your neighborhood. Maybe that's an important thing for you. But the reality of it is if you've never voiced your opinion, it's not actually going to be a consideration if no one else said it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the important thing is getting that community feedback, doing those online surveys as they're coming out, but definitely the participation at the neighborhoods, because that's used as evidence as to the why we did A, B, and C when we made those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes maybe it's something that you as an individual are more equipped to help create in your community. So maybe it's not the biggest issue, but you start realizing that, you know what, I'm not the only one who thinks this.
There was a ton of crossover of things that we talked about, and we had to do like a top 3 or something, and there was like 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 or something was the same across all groups, which was really cool. And I mean, there was no accounting for it. Was just, this is what people wanted. We had different age groups and different races or religions and mobility and I'm sure different economic classes. And it was cool that this is what to humans in our area mattered. And I thought that was beautiful because I think at the end of the day, we all want to be the most comfortable in our community we possibly can.
Correct.
Yeah. Which actually leads me to our event that's going on at the end of April on the 25th. I think you have the flyer right there.
I got it right here. 2025 Fair Housing Luncheon. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Doubletree Hilton Schenectady, 100 Terrace, Schenectady, New York. The cost for entry is going to be $75, depending if you have a discount code or not?
Sweet. Okay.
Well, even bigger than that, though. So for Schenectady residents and community members, if they're interested in going, but for whatever reason, it doesn't matter the reason, but if you're not able to cover that cost, we have multiple sponsors who've already given funds to cover the cost of your ticket, including the city itself sponsoring some of them. But we have multiple organizations that are sponsoring as well. So if you want to go as a community member, you don't have to be associated with any organization, actually even specifically people who aren't associated with organizations, and you just want to go there, you want to get that education, become aware of those things, and get a good meal at the same time. You can go. You simply need to reach out to us. You can send me an email, mbrown@schenectadyny.gov. You can reach out to any of our local nonprofit organizations, and they can reach out on your behalf if you need. You can also reach out to the city. So if you go to the mayor's office, any of those offices, they'll get you right to us, and we will help you cover those costs of the ticket.
Beautiful. And I see here you're also providing credits for general education, like, if you're a real estate or in the real estate profession, right? You get 1.5 hour CE credits available if you attend this. So this is pretty cool. NC Gary McCarthy, correct?
Yeah. So the continuing education credits, because one of our partners is GCAR, Greater Capital Association of Realtors.
Yeah, you got it.
So GCAR, Laura Burns over there has been a great partner with the city for several years. And so that was one of the big things. They wanted to be able to, offer that additional incentive, especially for our real estate agents who are the ones who are really interacting on a day-to-day for everybody who is looking for new homes, looking for rental units. So it's important that, you guys have that education as realtors. But even more so, the fact that you pass on that information to the common person. So that's why the partnership is so important with these organizations. And Better Community Neighborhoods Incorporated, or BCNI, is our local housing group that assists us too. So they're a community development organization. They're responsible for a lot of the different developments that occur in the city. Our first-time home buyers program, our down payment assistance grant, the vacant rental rehab. I think you had them on the episode a couple weeks ago?
2 episodes ago.
Yeah, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
4 weeks ago. Yep.
Yeah, 4 weeks ago. So, it's in the city of Schenectady, we're a little more unique than a lot of other communities just because of the partnerships that occur here.
That's what I love about Schenectady. It's very unified.
Yeah.
All the organizations, everybody's working as one to make change here.
As long as you know about it, which I think is a big piece of what Mauricia's talked about for the fair housing. If you don't know about it, you're an island.
Yeah.
Among islands.
Yep.
Right, but the more you know, I think I agree with you. The more you know, the more connected everything can be.
And to the Better Community Neighborhoods Inc. Point, BCNI group, there was a client who reached out to me in regards to being able to buy something that needed rehab, and I said, "Wow, I guess that episode is going places."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow, people are catching word of it, and they're probably pushing it in their own right." But that's kind of cool that it's moving, it's picking up. People are knowing about this information.
So the conversation we had with BCNI 4 weeks ago, it was partially echoed when I called Amsterdam, and they're like the MWBE, the Women Minority-Owned Businesses, and I'm going to get it wrong, but Disabled Veteran-Owned Businesses. I'm sure I got the name wrong there. I got a buddy of mine that did a couple tours in the sand over there, and I'm going to be helping him work on his disabled veteran business piece for New York State.
Okay.
He's like didn't know that there's money available that he could possibly jump into, and he does great work. Give me a call, everybody. I'll give it to Jerry too.
But that's the point, right?
It's the education piece.
Just like you said, it's about your access to the information, right? So our theme this year is fair equals accessible. So whether it's you wheelchair accessible, whether it means accessibility to information, whether that means are things translated into your languages that you speak. I mean, in our school district alone, there's like several languages. I'm not talking 10 or 20. Like it's a large amount of different languages that are spoken locally.
Yeah.
Or in different people's homes. So those are things that we have to be mindful of, right? So it ties everything kind of in together as well. But for fair equals accessible, we want to make sure that that information is accessible as possible. So that's the purpose of having a podcast, right? So that you're getting the word out. That's why we're engaging with so many realtors in general, Some of our realtors are listing agents. Some of our realtors represent a lot of different buyers. But we're essentially not using you, but you guys are.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You're the information warriors. with
Yes,
that, right?
exactly.
know,
It's a
So I'm
What's the word?
going to represent 2 city listings from last year that come through. And I think I'll end up closing 5 buy-sides before June.
no, yeah, good.
So, I mean,
Okay.
so don't put on your nice shoes. Get a nice flashlight. These things are fun to sell.
Yeah, no. You know what's funny is like I'll go with my dress shoes on, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it."
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, nah, don't worry about it. I bought these shoes online. Okay, to go.
But sometimes my phone's been blown off the hook off of Avenue B, Elmer
That's a
Ave.
super popular one.
Those two, they weren't as in bad shape as most foreclosures are. But I mean, that's the one that you wear your dress shoes to because it was in good shape.
Elmer's pretty. I
I
liked
know.
Elmer too. I showed that once or twice. It's weird because I showed up with a client and he wasn't ready to buy a renovation property. It was our first meeting, but he's like, Dave, I've been stood up by 3 agents already this year. I'm like, really? He's a super sweet guy, and I don't know, man. Like, so I guess as a sales pitch, real fast for Jerry and I, if you don't feel right on your first meeting, let that be a lesson. We're not all the same.
That's true.
Jerry and I rock.
Yeah.
No big deal.
But that's why it's important, that we have people not just representing the city as an agent, but that we have people who are educated about all of our processes, and not just the cities. Like there are bank-owned homes that go on there. Like there are vacant units that are sold by multiple entities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have people call me all the time, like, "How do I find out who owns this property?" I'm like, "You don't get a realtor." And I'm like, but. But it's an important thing is being able to offer that guidance.
Sure.
The education becomes a tool that you can use for the benefit of everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like super important for us. Another thing that's one of the events that are going on too is offered by our Office of Affirmative Action. They do a lot of our workforce development programs. So there's an informational free workshop that's going on also on the 15th. So on the 15th, you got 2 things you can go to. In the evening time from 6 to 7:30, you can go to the Woodlawn Neighborhood Comprehensive Plan meeting. But also the free workshop is targeted mainly toward either contractors or people who want to become contractors who address lead concerns in properties. So they're going to be going over, and that's from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. on the 15th, which is a Tuesday. So if you are a lead abatement firm of any kind, and you just want to understand what are the requirements? How do I bid on these opportunities? That's another vehicle for information. Is what we use these workshops for. Also, if you are somebody who wants to become a lead contractor and you just don't know where to start, great meeting to go to as well. Because at that workshop, we'll tell you about the different classes that are coming up, whether or not there are any classes that may be paid for you to get started.
For those who can't see Maurice's face, he's giving us like, you guys should pay attention. Go to this, and take 1 or 2 of your favorite contractors with you, and sit and learn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. So, and even so when someone has a lead abatement firm, one of the big things is you have to have a lead abatement supervisor, right?
well, I
that
could
has to be there.
supervise. I don't know what to do, but I'm built to be a supervisor.
You sure about that?
I could do it.
Yeah, so I mean, a lead abatement supervisor, that's another level, right? So they have, so anyone doing construction is, I believe, supposed to have like their basic renovation course that they're supposed to take the RRP. But above that, you have your lead abatement worker class, right? So those are the actual people doing most of the work. I believe they train you on like how to clean up after yourself and everything else, because we all know lead is bad. And when you deal with older homes, you got to know how to address it. And then the supervisor course as well. I mean, these careers, and I say careers because a lot of the people who do this kind of work, they do it like for their lives a lot of times, and they grow within that field. But you're talking about starting a job at $22 an hour, roughly, right? On average, they're starting at like 22.
That's pretty
It's not
good.
bad.
Yeah.
Federal minimum wage $7.25. New York minimum wage $15.
Yeah.
So 22. It's time and a half at day one.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to have your certifications. There's some type of investment of time, sometimes money, to get different levels of those certifications. But sometimes there may be programs that help you pay for those things. So that's why it's so important to keep an eye out for these types of workshops.
And for the young audience out there, what he's talking about is playing an online game and grinding up your levels so you get certain levels, so you get new spells, meaning new income. No, I'm just joking, but there are things you cannot outsource. There's things you cannot AI. There are things that robots will not replace easily. And this is something that you can, in fact, still build a career on. I mean, I still find carpenters. I still find tile setters. You know, I may not go and pick up an encyclopedia very often anymore. Thank you, Internet. But you still need skilled people out there, and the jobs aren't going to disappear. They're going to be recession, maybe not proof, but hardier than other jobs.
Yeah. I mean, my dad used to always say you can't replace your hand skills, right?
Yeah.
Things that you do with your hands, the tactile learning that you have to do, you know, because, I mean, ultimately, because he used to tell me when I was younger, he's like, listen, you're either going to be the guy who fixes things, or you're going to be the guy who hires the guy to fix the things. Okay?
Those two
He said,
choices.
so you either make enough money or you better learn how to do it yourself. One or the other. You know, so for every household, for every family, you know, are you fixing the door? Are you fixing, like, you can change a light bulb. Sure, everybody can do that, right?
Yeah, that's simple.
But, you know, like, how many people know how to remove the little metal piece once you break the bulb, right? Like,
Well, learn that in Boy
some
Scouts.
people don't like
It's a potato.
Like,
You cut a potato, you shove up there, you rip it out with a potato in case the bulb breaks. I learned that 30-something many years
That's
ago.
a thing?
listen, I'm a
Yeah,
city kid.
so
I
with
didn't do that.
incandescent bulbs, for those people, they're out there, you know, the light bulb isn't just LED. A long time ago, there were different ones. They're after me.
Yeah, I think
hope
so.
not. You cut up when sometimes the glass would spin out of the bottom, or it broke. You'd cut a potato, you'd shove the potato up in there, and the potato has enough structure that you could twist it out.
See,
Oh.
that's the guy who does it himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously,
No,
you're the guy
no.
who hires the guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy who hires the guy.
My wife does it all. I just know how to do
Oh,
it. Supervisor.
all right. There's nothing wrong with being a supervisor.
Well, thank God my wife is there. If she listens, if this is gonna be the one episode she listens to, she's gonna just yell at me all the time.
That'd be hilarious.
Still true.
No, but there are many things that'll be going on this month. This will be a pretty busy month. April leads is Fair Housing Awareness Month, right? So then once you get into like May as well, it's gonna be warmer out, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have a lot more events and things going on. You know, during the summer, there's always the Caribbean Day. We have a lot of things going on in the parks. The splash pads will open up in the summertime. I think they're planning for opening up the pool. Have you been to the new pool?
No.
So, you know, last year we opened our brand new state-of-the-art pool.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't get the
Such a-
invite.
State of the art water and everything.
Really?
I
Man,
did.
I might have to show up.
But
I don't
they
know
talked-
if it's H2O or H3O, but I know.
they
Really?
talked about the pool in the online video in the city council yesterday, talking about residents and non-residents, and non-residents pay a fee to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Residents comes in taxes. I commented on if you pay the fee to get in that day, you pay
You're
your
good.
one-time tax and you're good to go that day. But you know, I like splash pads too. I got a youngin, a 1-year-old. Splash pads aren't scary, you know.
Yeah.
So I
Or if
feel,
you don't know how to swim.
yeah, well, sometimes you just want to walk in, cool off for a minute, and leave.
And just go. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you can take the stroller, just run right through the water real quick. Your kid will love it.
That's
Keep it going.
awesome. I'm gonna have to show up. Maybe
Yeah,
I
no,
put you in the stroller and then
man,
Well, you're more into,
you're talking my language.
you're more into fitness, so you know there's
Yeah.
like the fitness playground thing that's over there.
Oh.
In Mount Pleasant.
oh,
I think it's Orchard Park.
okay.
That has it. Like
I
they have
didn't-
the whole outdoor equipment.
Almost like a Miami type
yeah,
of thing. Like outdoor
Yes.
fitness.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I think that one was MVP helped with that one. I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, maybe we should do that. We should just do a tour of
I
different
think
things.
we
to
should
do.
do it too.
We should, yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna be working out, but you know.
No, we'll
you know.
just. I mean,
That'd be cool though.
But yeah, no, they'll definitely. Yeah, let's organize something so like we can have a day to go there to the pool, our tennis courts. We have a lot of national things that come to Schenectady just to utilize some of our different assets in the neighborhood.
Oh.
the river came up over and over and over again in the recharged meetings here as a great asset and something to be further developed. It would be pretty nifty to see, or maybe there is one. I'm talking out of ignorance here, a boat launch or a place where you could rent a canoe for the day. we're talking about healthy options, mobility. You know, it would be cool to have a place where you could just go do that. That's city funded. Tell me there is one.
So you've never been to the harbor?
There we go. Tell me more
You
about
don't
this harbor.
You don't live in Schenectady. I guess
me
we
more
more
about this
adjacent.
harbor.
Right?
Huh?
Schenectady
Yeah.
adjacent, like
So-
2 blocks
so
in the
ju-
direction, and he's in Schenectady.
Yeah. My trolley doesn't quite pick me up at the door, but
Yeah.
I have 2 chickens.
I'm not sure about if there's canoe rentals or not, but like I know that's where they launch boats over there.
in the
Union College has a row team, like they actually go up and down this river.
Oh.
Yeah. But and there's also huge concerts that happen, which are free. So you know, like there's always like the summer nights one that's here downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So they block off all of downtown. I think it had like something like 20,000 people down here.
That's a one-time thing, though.
That's one time
That's
in the
one time,
summer.
yeah.
And then and then at the harbor they have events that go on there during the summer too. But the harbor is a harbor, like so there's launch places for boats and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if there isn't already a canoe rental program, I mean that's something that you
That's something.
It would go
Campus.
great with Jerry Lugo's electric rental. No, I'd rather organize a bar crawl. That'd be more fun.
do a bar.
A bar crawl's
Yeah.
not bad.
I mean, I don't mind that. You know, I don't do beer, but I do all the other liquors.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm playing.
Well, luckily in New York we have apple trees, and there are
Oh,
great
cider is awesome.
tons. So
Cider.
my wife's birthday was not long ago, and
Happy late birthday to your wife.
Yeah, Kristen, are you listening? Happy birthday.
We should
And-
sing a song.
And that would upset her very much. I would play it on repeat, and she'd be so mad at me.
Like happy.
And that's where the cutoff goes. You can't say anymore. We owe royalty. Yeah, we went up to Saratoga and grabbed a keg of apple cider.
Okay.
All right, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cheaper than buying the 12-ounce cans for however many per 4-pack. I know it's just it's a sad number. But I mean, there's so many little local things that can be highlighted.
Breweries. I heard, you know, that
Everywhere.
David might be starting an offshoot where you can go interview businesses.
I would love to do that.
Is that true?
Hey guys, we're gonna launch this.
We should do that.
Speak it into existence. It happens. I'd love to go to local places.
That would be nice.
And say, hey, why here? Why you? Why this recipe? Oh well, my grandfather from Germany was a brewer, and I read about him in the book. And his name is his name in Ellis Island, and he's from Bavaria. And I found 3 Bavarian recipes that he may or may not have drank in his life. I now make Bavarian beer.
I didn't know that was like the category of beer.
It could be.
You
Wow,
say
he's just-
hypothetical.
yeah, I was like-
Wow.
I was like, wait, they actually have that?
Well, every place says you're local. I mean, if you grow barley, you're going to use barley for beer.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a caveman, you want to grow einkorn. One of the ancient grains, make an einkorn beer. Who knows? Why not?
Okay.
Your family has celiac disease. If you look up, there's only going to be 2 or 3 options for gluten-free beer. Every cider's gluten-free, but not a lot of gluten-free beers.
I didn't know that. Well, I do know at the Green Market, which is in Proctor's on Sundays until they go outside of City Hall. There's like a guy who was doing, I think it's mead, which is like a honey wine that I've seen there before. I've seen them like with their Viking horn cups before. too.
Fantastic. Yeah.
That's my.
And there's a lot of the different local distilleries, I think is the right word, and breweries. Like they'll pop up to those. You'll find out about a lot of different restaurants. Schenectady's pretty rich in culture, but it draws the people who go to those things. They're usually at all of the different night markets and things in Albany and Schenectady. So like the capital region is just rich in resources in general.
When does the Schenectady market go back outside?
Asking the wrong person.
That's the wrong person.
But
But in just 2 short weeks, guys, we'll have the answer to that unless you find it
Exactly.
now and text it to us immediately.
Yeah.
yeah,
We could
that's
always
true.
follow up on that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's a process. It's great. It's both a pain in the butt to get all the kids in the car and come out and find a place to park. Trolleys would be great, but it is so awesome to be handing money to the person that planted the seed and pulled the weeds and pulled the carrot and washed the carrot and put it in front of you that you put in the salad. It's keeping your money local. And I wish we could, when we did that, it'd be cheaper to buy local than through the grocery store, but at least the money is going directly to where it should go.
Yeah.
Right? You say, oh, well, we need farms equal food, but if you don't spend it locally, then the only option is a 1 million acre farm in the middle of Iowa.
Yeah. That's true.
And the tractor's making the money.
Yeah.
Right? And the transportation company's making the money, and the refrigeration truck's making the money, and your grocery store's making the money. The farmer gets nothing. So local is the way to go.
Yeah. So go to your green markets,
farmers
go
are
to
good
your
for you.
farmers markets. I think last time I went to the green market, I think I saw like the one, I keep wanting to say retailer, but it's a farm. And they still have the dirt on the carrots. I was like,
Hell yeah.
I feel like,
It's organic dirt.
That's okay.
I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to use to wash these things, but I'm going to use soap. But from what I've learned, though, is it all tastes better when you get it directly from that. Like,
Yeah,
even
from the
eggs.
ground.
Do you know the eggs that we get in supermarkets are not the same as, like, fresh eggs?
Yeah.
Really?
Diet matters.
No idea.
Diet matters. Age matters.
The color of the yolk is different.
That's the diet.
Oh wow.
So what color's honey? What color's honey? You brought meat
Gold.
before.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yellowish.
Yellow. It's be whatever
Orangey.
the spit color comes out. Buckwheat honey is black.
Ugh. What?
It tastes like molasses. You either love it or hate it. It's like beer. What color is beer? Well, there's a lot of colors of beer all of a sudden, isn't there? Oh, you think Mick Ultra? It's clear, almost colorless. No, it's not. It's whatever you want. There's stouts and pilsners and ales and oh my god, porters are my jam.
Somebody's a connoisseur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so when you're talking about something local, there's a huge amount of flavor. My chicken I've got one that lays a red egg, not brown but reddish. And the other one lays blue.
Blue?
Yeah, she's either a Araucana or Americana.
Yeah. What are you? Where'd you get that chicken from?
Hey man, hey, isn't it
Mars?
great that Mars? Actually, her name is Blue Blur, and she only eats carrots with dirt on them. But yeah, so yeah, and you can tell age of the yolk and how bouncy it is. If it's the higher the top, the younger it is, and the flatter it is, and the runnier the white, the older it is.
Didn't know that.
They didn't know that.
Yeah,
I just listen. I just realized that eggs came in different colors. I did no idea.
David knows the science behind why the egg bounces the way it bounces and sits in.
Next time we're going to talk about quail and guinea hens.
Okay.
Not an insult.
What's a guinea hen?
Buckwheat. So they're long. They have a bone sticking out of their head because they're a dinosaur. When you grab them by the tail, their feathers fall out. Like a lizard loses its tail feathers fall out. They're wonderful. They're great. They're horrible at the same time because they won't shut up.
Oh wow. Okay.
So definitely you can do quail in some places. You can never do a guinea hen.
Yeah, not in Schenectady. Yeah, surely.
That right there was a hint. Until we put trolleys and chickens back on the menu, boys.
But definitely, I know we have to head out, but go to these community events, learn about these different resources that are here, because we want to increase the access, right? So if those who are watching us, if you have a friend or anybody else who is interested in learning about any of these things, it may not be for you. Maybe you're just passing on the information, but definitely put them in touch with one of our hosts, put them in touch with whoever. Even if you know about some resources, mention them, so we can spread the word as much as possible, because ultimately things aren't fair if everyone doesn't have access to the same information. You guys have anything?
Drop the mic.
No, I love it. I'm done.
Drop the mic right there.
Let's
Wow, that was an inspirational quote.
2 weeks from today, probably a week from when you hear, we have two things happening, morning and night. The nighttime is 6 to 7:30, and that's going to be at 100 Bigelow Ave. Bigelow?
You got it.
I want to say Bigelow.
Bigelow.
It's more fun to say. 6 to 7:30, 100 Bigelow Ave, Schenectady. Is going to be our Electric City Recharge. That's our comprehensive plan.
Woodlawn Neighborhood Meeting.
Yes. If I just read the rest of the words, I'd know all that. And in the morning, same day, 9 to 11, is that free workshop. That's the lead firm requirements and abatement and some education. And starting average for those who are looking for work, 22 to 35.
Yeah,
That's the range it says right here, and I assume it's right. And then you get a couple days off. And then on the 25th, it's 11 to 2 for the Fair Housing Luncheon. And any agent in the list for the city has to go to that, I believe.
It's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement? Oh, man, you told me it was last year. Anyways, great. I'll tell you what, it's super good information, and there's a lot of cool people there to meet and talk to, and it is, your lunch as well.
Yeah, it's beneficial for all agents to go. But definitely, if you are someone who is just interested about learning more about fair housing, your rights, definitely come out. If you are a community member, definitely come out. And if you need assistance with paying for it because you don't have the $75 this week or whatever week that you're trying to buy it, definitely reach out to us. The Fair Housing Luncheon, fair equals access.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Way to finish. Love it.